We're diving into mastering Jest mocks with React context. 1. First, let's understand why we need mocks. When testing React components that rely on context, directly using the context provider during testing can lead to tightly coupled tests and difficulties isolating component behavior. Mocks allow us to simulate the context's behavior, making our tests more independent and easier to maintain. 2. Now, let's look at how to mock a React context. We'll primarily focus on Jest's mocking capabilities. Simplest approach involves mocking the entire context provider. We'll use Jest mock to replace the actual context provider with a mock function. This mock function will return a specific context value, allowing us to control what our component receives. 3. Inside our mock function, we can define the provider component's behavior, effectively setting the context value we want the component under test to receive. This lets us test different scenarios independently, without the need for actual context data. 4. Consider a scenario with a user context providing user data. To mock it, we would use Jest mock/user context, assuming user context is in the same directory. We can then define the mock's provider to return a predefined user object. This ensures our component always receives the specific user data we want to test with, regardless of any external data source. 5. Remember to handle the useContext hook within our component under test. Since we are mocking the context provider, the useContext hook should be receiving the mocked context value. If you encounter issues, make sure that your mock is correctly replacing the original context and that you're correctly calling useContext with the mocked provider's context. 6. Another approach to context mocking, beneficial for more complex contexts, is to only mock specific aspects of the context, such as a particular function that is stored within the context. This provides more granular control, letting us isolate and test individual context functionalities. 7. Finally, testing asynchronous operations within the context requires different strategies. We might need to use async await or promises, and Jest's mock resolved value or mock rejected value can be helpful to simulate successful or failed asynchronous calls from the context. Remember to always clean up your mocks after each test to avoid interference with other tests. By carefully applying these methods, you'll improve your testing accuracy and reduce the risk of unexpected behavior from external dependencies. Understanding these strategies allows for confident, isolated testing of React components that depend on context, leading to a more robust and maintainable codebase.